Welcome back. Well, last Monday, we took a look at how our lives have changed in this post-COVID world. And we got a lot of interesting input from you. And I'm going to talk about how my life has changed too. Yes, we'll talk about how your life has changed. And we will get into it when we get back. Okay, before we get into that, I want to let you know this is my Bell's palsy COVID testing update. All of my tests have come back. I am COVID-free. I do not have Lyme disease. I do not have shingles. They tested me for everything, and I'm clean. I am going to go in and get a COVID antibody test. The reason I'm going to do that is not that it makes any difference to me, because if I have the antibodies but don't actively have COVID, then what difference does it make? I had it, it's done, it's gone. But because they are currently doing medical research to determine the connection between COVID and Bell's palsy, and apparently there is one, I will do the antibody test. If it turns out I did have COVID, I'll forward my medical records to one of the doctors who is doing the research, just for the sake of adding to the body of medical knowledge, not just on COVID-19, but Bell's palsy as well, because, education is my life, and anything that helps further the learning process, wouldn't that just be hypocritical of me if I said, it doesn't matter to me, I'm not going to do it. So no, I am going to do it. Are you still going to stay here, or are you going to go? So I am no longer in semi-quarantine. I have my life, such as it is, back. So let's talk about, I'm covered in cat hair now. Let's talk about what you had shared about how your lives have changed. We have Deanna Grooms, who is working 16 hours a week now, and I take it that is a reduction from her previous hours. So that's not a good change. I am Rockette. No church, no travel, no job. So suddenly Deanna's 16-hour-a-week situation is looking better because I Am Rockette is unemployed. I'm sure there are a lot of people facing that as well. Lisa, DesertDragonworks, she's staying home more, getting more deliveries, but the real heartache for her is she is losing her summer with her granddaughter, which was apparently a thing that's happened like every year. She gets a granddaughter for the summer. And perhaps you'll remember her granddaughter, when we did the little video show, when we did the shop spotlight on DesertDragonworks, one of those pictures was done by Lisa's granddaughter. So that is her little budding artist that she doesn't have this summer. And that was a lot of people had said that they were missing family and friends and time with them. So that's a recurring theme. Always doing something. Oh, talk about aptly named. She is learning guitar, putting up YouTube videos, working on her household to-do lists. So yeah, I guess she is always doing something, but she's more aware of the freedoms that she's lost, and of course more grateful to have her family and friends in her life. Nancy Hatsky, I think. No movies, no lunch with friends, no shopping malls, Everything's closing at 7 o'clock. No museums, no beaches, and some places are just not going to open again. So she's doing without. D, love of hounds. She's becoming more reclusive. More masks, more gloves, more hand sanitizers. She's shopping for necessities only. No more luxury shopping. No more browsing, thrifting. She's very fearful for her family and friends because she lost 2 people to COVID already. Southern hippie lost an uncle, and she says that she sends more snail mail, so I'm sure we all send our deepest condolences to both of them for their losses. That's terrible, and it makes the sacrifices the rest of us are making just pale in comparison. Sherry Phelan, she misses family time, thrifting. Now she's doing everything with a mask, and she's worrying. Randy Romines, no eating out, no toilet paper for a month. No more frivolous spending, which is a good thing. And she's preparing more. There's more prepping going on because, like many of us, obviously she feels that the worst is not over yet. Jet, rock and roll rebel, she's staying home more, and she's a bit of a gadabout, so this is probably very hard for her. The vintage fix, her hubby's a teacher, and her son was a student, so the 2 of them have been home because there's been no school for either of them, and they have no more movies. And Mandy Balaji, she's not driving as much. Pat Conte, she is wiping down everything that comes into her house because of the germ issue. Brassy 24, no more dog park, so her dog is doing without, and she has to look for a job. Gurma Martinez, she's missing hugging her family. That too is like common thread. Nebulana, not using public restrooms. Other people talked about not having their favorite TV shows because television went into a hiatus. The common themes are no close physical contact with friends and family, no more touching, no more hugging, 6 feet of social distance, and anxiety and worry. There seems to be a level of low-grade anxiety out there that really resonates with me, because I am a child of the 60s. You all know how old I am, so I don't need to lie about that. I was a teenager in the late 60s, and I can remember that low-level anxiety that just ripped through society when we were a nation at war, especially since, it was an undeclared war, and there was a draft, and, the kid next door might not be coming home. In my case, by the way, the kid next door didn't come home. So, it was a frightening time, and we are in frightening times now. So it's not surprising that people are responding almost like a little low-grade itch that you just can't quite scratch. And I've seen that around. It's sad, and it is very concerning. So a lot of people have been suffering as a result of this pandemic. Everything from I can't watch my favorite television show right down to and I lost my uncle. So things have changed. For me, this is, here, let me show you how I do it. I have a little baby hair clip, and it's right on my shirt. Because I went to the door one day and I left the person on the other side of the door waiting there for 5 minutes while I scrambled around to get a mask, because I had no idea who was on the other side of that door. Turned out to be a census taker. And I am reminded of, fava beans and a Chianti, but let's see if anybody gets that joke. My neighbors, as you know, I live in a neighborhood that is just populated by elderly people. It's not a retirement community. It's just coincidentally the demographic of my neighborhood. And they're not wearing masks. They're not. These people are in their 80s, and wearing masks is just not something they're doing. I'm guessing it's because they just can't wrap their heads around the concept. They're old, they're not used to this, but they're also extremely vulnerable. So if I answer the door, especially during the period when I might have been contagious, I needed to have a mask. So mask here all the time. Also, I've had to change my dentist. As soon as they opened up dental offices, I had been behind on my dental checkups because they wouldn't see me after I had the knee transplant. For some reason, they were waiting 6 months on that. So I was already behind. And my dentist's office let me know that patients would have to wait in their cars. They would come out and get you and take your temperature, and if you didn't have a fever, they'd let you in. Well, I don't drive, I take the bus. And the bus is not going to wait in the dentist's office parking lot until somebody comes and gets me. That's just not how buses work. So that was my first obstacle. But another obstacle was they added a surcharge of $20 per appointment to cover their personal protection equipment, was how they phrased it. Now, I've been going to that dentist for a while, and they always wear masks and gloves, and their office is always sterile. And this is just normal for them. In other words, there was no pre-COVID, post-COVID for these people. They were in masks and gloves always. And I did the math with 3 dentists, and I think there were like 8 hygienists, and I figured on something like 5 appointments a day. An extra $20, that's like $1,000 a day. Seriously, $1,000 a day for what is an ordinary part of their business and an ordinary chunk of their normal overhead. Well, that started to smack of pandemic profiteering to me, and I'm not tolerating it. So I changed dentists for philosophical reasons at that point. That was a little too much like the people who are cleaning the toilet paper and the hand sanitizers and the baby wipes and everything else off the supermarket shelves and reselling them for $20 a roll or $45 for a bottle of hand sanitizer or whatever else they were doing, which I consider to be immoral. And, I'm not one of those people who walks around on my moral high horse. I'm not perfect, but there is a sort of moral threshold I will not cross. And profiteering in a medical crisis, that's where I'll draw the line. No, I'm sorry. I just won't be a part of that. And it made me lose a great deal of respect for a dental practice that I had always really highly regarded. Excuse me, cat hair is up my nose. Oh, I love you anyway. The other thing I've been doing, which is interesting, is I have been reading more books. Now, ordinarily, I read all the time. This is my MP3 player, and I've got about 30 books on it, and I love this. This is plugged into my ear almost every minute I'm awake. But I've been reading real books, big things with print and, books. And the reason I've been doing it is not being able to go out. I've had the time because I'm an exceptionally slow print reader. I just can't do it. And I can read faster in print than I read in Braille. My print reading is still, even though it's slow, I did not learn Braille as a child. I learned Braille as an adult, so I'm not a really fast Braille reader. But I prefer audiobooks. What can I say? But I've decided that if I have the time, I'm going to be able to read some things that are not available in audiobooks. So I have a biography of George McClellan that I've been reading, and I'll do, half a chapter at a time. Trust me, I'll get through it in about 2 months maybe. But it's not the way I used to be able to read, when I could read, which was, I'll gobble down this book in a weekend. By the way, just to share with you, one of the things I am listening to / reading is the Discworld series by Terry Pratchett. And I became aware of Terry Pratchett because I became aware of a television series called Good Omens, which I enjoyed very much. It's just a fun little thing. It's not, not like a biography of George McClellan, let's put it that way. And I decided I would like to read the book. And the book was written by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. I've read some of Neil Gaiman's stuff before, but I didn't really see his thumbprint much on the book. So I decided I would check out Terry Pratchett. And it's lighthearted, fun fantasy, just a giggle-worthy series. So I've had some fun with that. So I would recommend, if you have not heard of Terry Pratchett, check out his stuff. So that's my sort of positive stuff that I've been doing, is more reading. And there was a period when, as you know, there was no non-essential shopping. Things weren't open. So even if I could have persuaded the paratransit to take me there, which would have been a trick, they weren't open anyway. So that's what I've been up to. Other than that, I don't really see a lot of changes in my life. I grew up in New England, so social distancing is my normal. It's like, you believe me, Bostonians don't touch people. We just don't do that. It's like, my goodness, people coming close to you and touching you, oh, that's a weird Southern thing. Although I did live in Puerto Rico for a while. And in Puerto Rico, you don't wave to your friends. You hug them and kiss them. You walk down the street arm in arm with your friends. That's just the way it is there. It's just a totally different cultural sense of personal space. But a New Englander's sense of personal space is pretty gosh darn broad. So I haven't seen that as a big change. Audie, as I'm sure you know, has been extremely needy. He's used to having company. He's used to being picked up and petted by a lot of different people. And now it's just me. And, he's bereft. So the upside is that I can get him to do just about anything by offering him a little cuddle in exchange. It's get off my chair, I'll pet you. Just come over here with me, I'll pet you. Put down that dead mouse, I'll pet you. And he responds. So that's been positive. And I think there have been some other positive things too. People helping people. I know when I was able to go out and do shopping, I was grabbing stuff for my elderly neighbors, especially when the toilet paper was in such short supply. I found a place that had toilet paper, and in huge, huge packages. It was like 36 rolls, this massive chunk of toilet paper. And I was able to get some. Jocelyn's parents were out. I was able to get some for them, my neighbors across the street. But it was a struggle. And of course, that goes back to my irritation with the hoarders, because if they hadn't been hoarding, it would have been a lot easier to get this done. I wouldn't have had to beg store managers to let me take home a couple of extra rolls of toilet paper for the neighbors, which, by the way, only worked some of the time. So I'm not hard hit. I don't know anyone who's gotten sick. In my county, my doctor tells me the only fatalities have been in the nursing homes. And so we've gotten off largely unscathed around here. But this is not a congested urban area either. Things will spread more slowly in rural areas just because we're not all living on top of one another. So I consider myself extremely well off. And that is including, even if I did end up with COVID and end up with Bell's palsy from it, I still consider myself extremely well off, because I don't know anyone who was hospitalized. I certainly don't know anyone who died as a result. So I'm counting my blessings. And I'm not suffering from the horrible anxiety that is plaguing a lot of people either. So, but on that subject, if you are socially isolated, if you are not able to be with your friends and your family, if you're stuck in your house and, still on self-imposed lockdown, even if the states are lifting the restrictions, remember, we are all here for you. We have an active and very well integrated community in this YouTube channel. We have people who are here. So comment, get in touch. People will respond. I read all of the comments. So this is a place for you. And I don't want anyone to feel isolated, because as humans, we are social creatures. There's no two ways around that one. We are just designed by nature to be affectionate and close to others. So we can all tolerate a bit of social distancing and social isolation and emotional isolation for short periods, but prolonged periods, no. It's not psychologically healthy. So if you are feeling the pinch, get in touch, stay in touch, because we've got these videos coming out 5 days a week. We're still here for you. And in the interests of detracting a little from the anxiety, sort of lifting the lid on that simmering pot, I got some photos earlier this week from one of our frequent subscribers and frequent commenters, one of our subscribers who was a frequent commenter. I'm sorry, boy, I garbled that one. And she posts as JLS, and she took some beautiful pictures of, I don't know if they are just sunrises or just skyline pictures. Lovely, very calm, very soothing. I went online and I grabbed some music, and I am going to start ending these videos with a nice moment of calm. So it's running a little over a minute, some beautiful pictures of some lovely horizons. And these are pictures that she took. I have her permission to show them. And just, that's how we're going to close. So everybody's going to have at least a little bit, a minute or so, of peace and serenity, because we need it. we need to decompress. So, before I sign off, two things. One, thank you all so very much for all of your good wishes for the Bell's palsy recovery. As you can see, I have been taped differently. My physical therapist had previously done 2 pieces of tape, and now we're doing 3 because we're doing this one here. She and my doctor are both convinced I am going to have a quick and speedy recovery. And I want to thank you all for your well wishes and your prayers, because I do believe that helps. It's not just foolishness. You put enough good stuff out into the universe, and the universe takes notice. So thank you all very much. And now that all my test results are back and I am certified as non-contagious, I am no longer in semi-quarantine. So while you are watching this video, I am out shopping. And I will be making a shopping video for tomorrow. And it's been something like 3 weeks since we've had one of those. So I am anxious to get back out there and do some shopping. All right. Now, as we sign off, I will see you tomorrow. And please enjoy JLS's beautiful sunsets. And as I say, we're just going to close off with this from now on, because I think we can all use just a minute of serenity in our lives. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow.